gonna have a phone call for our Metro basketball vote with the Waterloo Courier at sometime around 6. And so we're 6:15, so I'm just gonna step out and take care of that and I'll be back in.
Okay,
Is that good?
yeah, that's fine.
You still got a quorum, so.
Yes, sir. All right.
The workshop, we're gonna be a quorum.
Oh, okay, great. What am I doing here? I'm just kidding.
All right, welcome all to the open meeting. Let's call this meeting to order. Roll call.
We'll just start with Lawson. Kramer,
Here.
Reeser,
Here.
and Bowman.
Perfect. So, do we have any citizens requests and oral presentations? I don't think we do, but put it out there. All right, let's get into it. General government, we have two items that we want to discuss. Let's start with item A, discussion possible action, wetlands project. Before we start with that, I just wanted to say, just so it's on record, that all the council members, myself, city clerk, public works director, we've had several meetings with a bunch of people. And the people from Mark Durham, the project manager, Ginger Murphy, Water Quality Bureau from the DNR, Amy Bushka, Vern Fish, tons of experts, because we wanted to learn more about this project, the benefits, the pros, the cons. We've discussed costs, not only for project, to take care of the project if we decide to move forward, but also maintenance afterwards and stuff like that. So just wanted to say that out loud so it's on record that the council and everybody here present has done their due diligence and work to learn as much as possible about this project and how it could affect the city of Hudson. So we can make an informative and educated decision when it comes to this. So, I'm gonna open that, to the council to discuss, their thoughts about the project and how would they wanna proceed. So whoever wants to start, go ahead.
We, when you say we had a lot of meetings, there were a lot of meetings. Like myself, I was at one of them, but there were a lot of meetings to bring different people informed because different people couldn't be there at different times. And so, but the meeting that I was at, I'm pointing right there because it was in that room. I'm trying to remember what the two kind of concerns for me were. I had generally voiced my opposition to it for just financial reasons in the short term. After the meeting in there, I'm open to it, provided that we took care of two items. And they had to do with interpersonal situations. You remember that? Or who was in that meeting? And I don't remember the details. But
Whether or not the burden on the current owner
Yep,
was similar to the burden elsewhere.
yep,
The timing of when that requirement went into place.
that's right. I remember now what they were.
Yeah.
One was like, if we're not gonna require a holding pond or whatever over here,
Detention.
and we are gonna require one here, we gotta sort that out. And then the other one was if the entity that is gifting us the land gets a financial benefit for that is unfair or not able to be gotten by someone else. Wasn't that it? Do you remember, Marcus?
Yeah. I think the second one will be tougher for us to like weigh in on. Like it's a tax thing, really.
Mhm.
They gift it to us. I'm sure there's some sort of tax benefit for them, right? They also financially get the benefit of not having to maintain the detention pond, right? And that burden shifts to us when typically, the way I understood with Jake is in the other TIF areas and so on, the owners of those areas maintain those. Now, same thing we talked about a couple weeks ago in the upper ridges, that burden is shifting unless we
Yes.
offboard that land.
Yep.
So there's probably a little inconsistency there, but like, our part about that too is these are all past dealings that we can't enforce consistency on all the time. By that a little bit too.
Also, I would like to point out that after talking to all the experts, and I mean, if we decide to move forward with this project, then we have talked about bringing the experts in to talk to the community and
Like a
answer,
town hall.
do a
type
town
thing.
hall and answer all the questions, because I think there's a lot of misunderstandings or not enough information about it. I mean, we can see the benefit of it, and the benefit is like cleaner water in the future, not necessarily directly right now and immediate to Hudson, but in the future and for surrounding towns. Also, I know a lot of community members, at least that's what I perceive, that this will fix the flooding issues on that area, and we were told that that's not the case.
Yeah.
This is not gonna fix the flooding. It might reduce the
It
flooding.
could, but
It could
don't count.
reduce an inch or two, but it's not gonna fix the flooding. So this is just about creating a cleaner water source for the future and for other towns nearby.
Of which some of our neighborhoods in town contribute pretty heavily to.
Yeah,
So we can help the downstream because some of our own upstream is contributing to it. But there is a financial burden to it, right? I'm more open to it with the option that we potentially have some grants. And that we potentially have an option to pay this thing with a 0% loan over 20 years, of which I think we can do like a $1 a month type thing on a water bill, which is a much smaller financial impact to our residents. It's more reasonable, and the cost of that $1 over 20 years continues to, a dollar now isn't the same as a dollar in 20 years, right? So that all makes sense to me. The benefit makes sense to me. I think I do want to hear some more from our town on this. I also am not, I'm not missing the point that like, this is a really bad time to say, let's go spend $500,000, right?
Mhm.
On something that's always been, should have been done a long time ago. Should we do it right now? I don't know. But I think being able to share the details and the fact that this
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily impact our budget, but even another dollar a month is another tax to our people. So,
Yeah, so, yeah, and that's clear from the financial point of it, even with the gaming commission giving us money and even with the grant, the city can still not afford the remaining balance of the total project cost. So that will be, if we decide to do that, then we've talked to the DNR and they could offer us, like Margaret said, a loan, 0% interest for 20 years to cover that remaining balance. And we will have to, cover that by, like Margaret said, adding an extra dollar or something in the water bill or whatever, to be able to cover that. That is as far as the financial aspect of it. Any other thoughts?
Sitting, overhearing from before, and then after that meeting, yeah, it was pretty informative. you know, the changes, how it looked. I'm like you, taking that burden on doesn't make sense right now, but we definitely, if we're gonna do this, we need to pursue those avenues, the loans, the grants, the things that they brought up, and see what we can get, you know, and see how that, at the end of the day, what's our bottom line look at?
The tough part of that, if I remember right, Hector or Matt, if you guys remember this either, was some of those things are dependent on us like starting the work.
Right.
So it's like, gotta start the work, you gotta commit to it,
You gotta own the land.
gotta own the land, you gotta do all these things, and then you can pursue some of those things, which aren't guaranteed,
Mhm.
which makes it really tough to make a good decision for the six of us at this table, right? I mean, we got six people, yeah. Makes it challenging, I think.
It does, it does.
Didn't, at one point in time, wasn't one of those grants that we got approved for that project, don't they have like a sunset date on it?
It's 18 months, but they said as long as we have the project started or shown
Progress.
some progress, that it could be extended if we haven't finished it in 18 months.
There's a second grant that we haven't submitted,
For Blackhawk Gaming.
yeah, for Blackhawk Gaming.
Gaming, it's not sure.
And
yet.
that's
We
the
haven't
one
submitted
that we could get, we might not get. Never know,
And that was the one we sort of hit pause on.
Yeah.
On that first.
Yep.
First balloting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That comes back up when Julie wins and that.
Cycles will be starting, I think, here in April or May. I have it on my desk.
We also talked about any other possible funding or funding avenues or options, and Burn Fish, one of the people that we talked to, offered to, you know, put the word out and knock some doors and see if he could find additional funding for us to go to this project. He does have a foundation that could pledge $20,000 towards the project. But the foundation would like to, before they even commit to doing anything, they would like to talk to Mark Durham, the project manager, and get a full, same thing like we did, a full idea, full information about the project, make sure it's good before they do anything. So that's something that if we're gonna do, we have to agree and give approval to a foundation to talk to our project manager about that project. We gotta give them permission.
I think, however, whenever we make this decision, we need to make the decision on what we know is guaranteed.
Yeah.
And yes, it could get reduced. But we don't know that that number is gonna get reduced, and we can't commit to. We can't put it in our numbers saying that we think we're gonna get another,
Yeah,
what was the gaming number, Julie?
It varies. I think was I doing 100?
it was 150 at first, 100, but we were gonna request
We were gonna
150.
go up, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we just have to make the decision on what we know
Yeah,
is there, and that number could go down or could stay.
Well, I thought, you know, one point they talked about how many eyes in the state of Iowa are on this project.
Yeah,
Yes. And that really stood out to me. You know, there's a lot of people watching to see what we're gonna do and if we're gonna do it.
yeah,
So,
that's when Matt had the,
They can start
Sharp
writing
comment,
checks.
like, yeah, they should write checks, you know?
If they're that concerned, let's see the money. Show
Yeah.
me the money.
that was what Vern was gonna reach out to some of those
Yeah.
people, but yeah,
yeah.
I was surprised at that. You know, for what it is and where it is, but I guess it does draw a lot of attention. So,
One of my, I guess, well, it'll be great. We'll have a hearing sometime publicly. One of my questions that I thought of after we had that meeting was like, if this is such a huge issue for Iowa, nitrates in the water, it's gonna clean it all up, then the legislature's gotta have some, they're probably working on other stuff. So how does this fall here and what comes there and what other grants that they haven't even developed yet might be available through those avenues?
Well, I'm gonna play the odd man out here. I'm not in favor of it.
Not that odd. I'm coming
I'd like
there.
to shove it down the road a couple years. Everything that I'm looking at kind of scares me. First of all, this is an opinion page with the numbers. That's an opinion on what it's gonna cost, and it's dictating who's gonna do the work. It should be an open bid. So we don't know our numbers, do we? We don't know our numbers.
Who gave us the estimate?
Mark did.
Mark did, okay.
So with that being said, my other concern when we met with everybody, I brought up the fact that, possibility of unearthing something we don't wanna unearth when we start excavating. Having dealt with hazmat for 25 years, the repercussions of spills and contamination get ugly in a hurry. And if we own that property and that happens, where do we go from here? I just don't wanna put this on the taxpayers right now. I don't even wanna keep talking about it for now. If this is so important to the state and other people, step forward and take the burden off of our hands, because we're trying to figure a budget out in one sentence, and we're trying to figure out how to spend money in the next. I don't get it.
That's fair.
So I'm gonna play odd man out. I'm not in favor of this. For now.
Yeah, like Matt said, I don't think you're the odd man out. We're all kind of struggling with it a little bit.
I think we need more time, and time's running out. And so if we can just push it back and focus on,
And that's what I said in the meeting too. I'm right there, you know, even though I don't get to vote, but I just give my opinion, you know, give my 2 cents. I could see the benefit, long term. It's just the wrong time for us to be looking at this project. I wish we could like revisit this 2 years from now and by the time the finances are more in order and, you know, we're more comfortable there, so.
Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of a theme of rushing into things just because the grant's there and grant's there now, maybe it's there in 2 years. And if it's not there in 2 years, then we have more information to say 2 years isn't the right time to do it. Let's look at it in 2 more years after that, right? And we should put it all together, but make a decision on the information we have today and I'm with you, like, yeah, spending half, like, we're gonna talk about here. We have a deficit in the budget. We're talking about spending $500,000 that we may or may not get some of that back in grants and may have to put an additional burden on residents here, so.
Yeah, so do we wanna continue this discussion? Do we wanna, make an action and decide so we?
You know, my opinion, I'd love the citizens to understand what this is. Whether we move forward or not. I would like to have them come and present to the citizens and get some feeling from the community of what their
Reaction.
thoughts are. You know, is it now? Is it 2 years? Is it 5 years? Or is it never? I mean, I think we all can agree on the table. We learned a lot sitting in that meeting. Uncertainty is huge. You know, we echoed the same thing sitting in that meeting. What's gonna happen if we find something?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think the citizens need to know what this project is and what the results of the project could be. Not saying that we need to do it, but at least have a better understanding as we approach it.
and the scary part of that, in reading the response from the DNR to Julie, they realize there's an issue. They've monitored this property. They've openly expressed that. They've watched what's gone on there. Nobody knows the what if involved with the property. You don't wanna go by rumors. Lord only knows if we went by that, we wouldn't even talk like this anymore. But, the DNR's response was not satisfactory to me. They're talking about a surface audit. A surface audit isn't gonna accomplish what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, it's down there.
It's down there and you can dig a hole here and it might show clean, and you dig a hole in Jeff's seed and it's gonna show dirty. Until you dig, you don't know. Do we want the risk? I just, that's where I'm at. This thing, it scares me.
Daryl.
I'm there. There you go.
A good idea, yes. And I think you're right, we need to put the information, have the information put out there, but I think for right now, till that gets accomplished, we need to just say, let's just revisit this thing in a year or year and a half, whatever, and then see what the checkbook says at that point in time and go from there. Then it's probably the best thing. Just keep it on, put it on the back burner and, you know, start have information with the community and this is what the benefits would be, but this is what the costs are right now that we're aware of. And here's the potential of what ifs. We gotta investigate that. But that's gonna cost, who knows, and so, yeah, I think we probably have community meetings on it during council meetings or whatever, but just put this project on a back burner for 18 months or so, and then see what the checkbook says and start making decisions from there again. Don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to the project. I think it'd be wonderful if somebody walked in and said they'd pay the bill
If money's free,
and take the
that's right.
liability on their shoulders. I'd take my shovel down and start digging.
Yeah,
But where we're at right now, it's just,
Your point, 2 points there. Even if it's financed free, we still don't know what's under that black dirt.
and once
have
we
a
take
liability.
possession of that property, that's the what if.
If somebody would take the liability off the city and we had to pay for it, I'm in.
write a blank check.
Well, no, I would pay for the project if somebody took the liability response. That liability.
The liability for people playing in the river or the liability for what's under the ground?
Under the ground.
Got it.
The potential.
Yeah.
of
Or if somebody showed us some drill tests
Right,
that said,
went in, drilled it and said, hey.
yeah, that'd be another piece of information that would,
That doesn't cost us money.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and again, I'm a little sensitive to the fact that we're gonna sit here in a few minutes and ask Danny and Jared and Mary to cut their budgets and then we're gonna go spend $500,000 or more on making a U in a creek. Doesn't make sense.
Like I said, I think just, it's a good idea, it's worthy of pursuing, but I revisit this thing in like 18 months, but in the meantime, we're trying to collect what information we can, put it out to the community and.
In the meantime, we may forfeit some financial options and the six of us have carried that burden and have to be comfortable with it.
Well, it
And
gives
I am.
18 months to better educate the city,
Yeah.
what this project is, and also educate us what the project is. Yeah,
Yep.
so.
Okay.
So I think we're saying, Mr. Mayor, it's not dead, but we're not comfortable doing it now.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah.
Everybody agree with that?
So that's, we're
We
gonna,
need to,
that's a possible action.
If we're gonna,
We're gonna,
if you want,
Table
that's our
that.
final decision, then we need to make a motion.
okay,
I would make a motion to table this for 18 months. In the meantime, continue to take opportunities to inform our residents and taxpayers and us continue to be informed on the project,
I'll second that.
revisit it
okay.
18 months.
All in favor?
Uh,
All opposed? Okay. It's been tabled 18 months. All right,
Julie, is there anything you need to do on that grant that we've been approved for because
No, I think it'll just.
it'll just die.
expire.
Yeah, okay.
All right, let's get to the important thing tonight, what we're here. Fiscal year 2027 budget discussions.
Start with the PD. So, if you wanna just talk about it, you wanna talk about your budget?
Sure.
So, well, I'll let you know, on your guys's, so we had the first column is the new, and that's kind of what we discussed, and then today he came in, and then we did do the last column minus the wages for a full-time officer.
And
So-
sorry, Danny, before you, I'm gonna interrupt you again. Can you reset the baseline of what our deficit is? Now, I know we did the, whatever, the $2 and, or whatever it was, whatever that number was. We still have a deficit of something that we need to hit. And then I think there's probably some discussion on
The levy.
yeah, the levy rate, and then also, like, we still have no reserves, and we've got to make some progress on that, so it's probably not just getting the deficit taken care of, it's can we make any meaningful progress on a reserve balance? Because like, if we put $50,000 in reserves a year, it's gonna take us 40 years to get anything meaningful, right?
So with the levy as the max that we did the public hearing and everything about, so that'd be the
13.28. And so I know exactly what it is because last night after we finished our meeting, resident came in and he already received the paper from the counties. It's stating the new levy rate and it's 13.228. So it's already out,
Yeah.
So
Projected.
projected.
If you look at the paper, not a tax bill.
That's the
not a
highest
bill.
we can actually put
Yeah.
into.
You gotta love Blackhawk County.
So nothing is.
Well, and unfortunately, that's a state
They had to
form.
get it out.
They're changing it. It'll be different next. I've seen the new form. It's much more.
Then also the fun thing about that form that goes out is the percent that they put for an increase is based
Yeah, that's
off
wild.
of the
Oh,
number.
It was showing 20% or
Yeah,
something like that,
because
so
it's
he was
based off
freaking out, I
of-
was like,
Yeah, so they think it's a 20% increase, but it's the amount of the increase compared to previous increases. So that 1.93 is a 20% increase from previous ones, but it's not 20%.
And it
increase.
assumes that your assessed value has gone up, which I think is an odd thing for them to put that
Yeah,
assumption into it.
I don't know, I don't even look at it because I know I know what they'll say.
Yeah.
Mildly, they're just gonna raise my rates, but, it's a very confusing form that goes out and people lose their minds because there isn't a lot of clarity on that percent number. I mean, the number from the state document, it says 20%, but that's the amount of, it's not the increase amount, it's the amount of increased change or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, it's confusing form. Okay, so 13.2
0.28.
and then remind us where we're at.
So
from
that it
shortfall.
leaves us at a $340,000 deficit.
340.
Part of
I
that
thought we were
is
at like
fire truck.
110. Okay,
Well, yeah, keep in mind, we got that fire truck that's rolling through the water wagon, so.
I mean, it still comes out, but there was money that was put into, from the bond to pay for it. So if we take that out, it's 105, but I mean, we still have to pay $340,000 in expenses.
mhm,
So,
So yeah, that 105 or 110 was the number we sort of had, but looking at how we get that out of there.
yeah, and my gut tells me that's not enough even.
So Danny, correct me if I'm wrong, but the 628 number was the number that was in the. just wanted to make sure I read that right.
For 27.
28 is our original proposed for fiscal year 27.
Yep.
Okay.
And you've got 10, 11 coming out of that with projected.
So, yeah, if you give it back to me, I shaved off $11,199.74. That's straight from the bottom of the barrel. And then you suggested it's a 75,000 total. Only way I can get to that is, unfortunately, what it says to the top on the last column is cut off service, which will put me at $84,626.23. Okay.
What does that do? So can you just baseline for me, what hours do we typically staff, not on call, but what do we typically staff in a regular week, and what would a new regular week look like minus an officer?
And the fact that one officer has not returned back from deployment, it's kind of easy to paint a picture now because the officer that's here that we hired back in 25 kind of helps that. So a typical week, Marcus, will be Monday through Friday. We have Officer Wilsidic, who's been at school, and you have Officer Cassandra. She kind of works in mid-morning till she gets off at 6, so she comes in at 8, so she handles first shift calls, but it's only 3 days during the week. So when she's not handling first shift calls, Officer Siddick handles first shift calls.
Mhm.
So then I come in at 2, I work 2 to 10 Monday through Friday. And then third shift, we always have somebody on third shift unless they call vacation or sick.
Mhm.
So third shift is always covered between Officer Karika and Officer Song. So, I mean, yeah, but then when it comes to the weekends,
Third is 10 to
then 8.
10 to 8.
Yeah, then the weekends is where Officer Paul, which is our part-timer, kind of helps. But that's where we generate the most on-call time is on weekends. So like Sunday, this last Sunday, Officer Karika was on call for 12 hours from 8 to 8. But like, be 8 till 7, he's on call, and then I'll put Officer Psalm on call from 7 to 10. Then he comes at 10 and works his shift until the morning. So it's really the weekends where the on-call comes.
What are your busiest times, or why are the shifts not on the weekends and then on calls doing like a Tuesday or Wednesday? What are your busiest times? My reasoning is like, you would think that your busiest times are the weekends, you know, the Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Yeah,
where people are out and about. So I would think that that would be your regular shift hours,
hours.
your busy hours, and then a Monday or Tuesday where you are at work and it's less, busy, that you will have your own call there. You know what I mean?
Well,
How does that work? Or
Well, obviously, you gotta keep Officer sick in the school, so he's, it's still busy, it's just minor calls. It's, dog barking or medical calls. Which that's what I cover between 2 to 10. But on top of that, you don't see me drive around much off because I'm doing the administration part. I get called out, dip out, but the weekends, honestly, we don't get called out that much on weekend.
Is it mostly just patrolling the highways?
Yeah, just it's on the highways because, it's a federal community. A lot of people are just gone on weekends. With all our kids' activities, they're gone. So the town's kind of a dead town during the weekend, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were like Cedar Falls, Waterloo, the bar crowd,
Always,
something like that, see what we're talking about.
Okay.
We're not that busy here. People are gone.
okay,
Yeah, this report that and I know it was in the council packet last night, but this report that you provide is helpful. 150 calls, I think, in the month of February, so few of those 150, I assume, are happening between like midnight and
Yeah, that's.
6 on
you really got
Tuesday.
to be proactive, especially in the winter time. When
Yeah.
it's to call for service, people don't like crimes when it's cold.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
but, yeah, so,
So how would that look if we did a trim down overnight? Would it just have more on-call hours?
Well, but we would, sorry to
Okay.
cut you, but we are having another officer coming back in June, right? So even if
So
we
even if
cut
we
one right
reduce
now,
one,
we will
we're
still be at
basically
the same.
where we're at today.
regardless, there'll be somebody on call.
Yeah.
Effectively 24-hour coverage. County short, I know somebody brought that up long, I provided you guys a letter from the sheriff on that one. But there'll always be somebody on call, but then in the letter I wrote, be on call really affects myself, Karika, and Psalm.
Because
I could be a. But I can put officer who's sitting on call, but that's gonna. Response time would be very long.
Yeah.
But, okay, there's gonna be times I have to, and if that officer, if it comes back and he lives in Cedar Falls.
Yeah.
The other one lives in Diaper.
Yeah.
So.
One of my questions is, if you look at the fiscal year, actual in 24 and 25, so if I'm reading this right, the actual in 24 was $250,000 more than the budget. And we were above $1 million in actual there. 25, we're pretty much right in line with the budget at 816. 26, this, if I'm reading this right, does that mean this estimate, we're gonna come in at 565?
No,
And so, I mean, I guess a big question for me is what did Hudson have? And how was it a huge benefit to the citizens in 24 and 25 that we don't have this year? And what I'm really asking is like, how are we getting by on 2 or 3 or 4 plus $100,000 less? And if we are getting by, why did we need that then? And how do I know that what we say we need now is what we need now? Do you understand my question?
yes, a little bit.
Well, you gotta look at capital reserves, that funny money that everybody played with. You know, there's 30,000 of capital reserves that was put into a reserve account.
160 into vehicle reserves in 24.
Yeah, so there was some,
Was that camera money? I mean, what, I guess I'm trying to get a big picture view of,
One car was purchased out of the camera. That was my knowledge, talking to Chris.
well, yeah, you look at the vehicle reserves for actual, you got $250,000 there. Again, reserves.
right, right.
You know, so that's the problem. I think we all looked at that reserves, that it was hard cash put in the bank. And it was money put on paper that never had any dollar to back it. And to me, I understand what the reserves are there to do, but we never put money in the bank to actually have it sitting there as a reserve.
Mhm.
And those two columns are zeroed out now.
Mhm.
I mean, we gotta hit a ball a long ways to get here. And I don't wanna cut Danny short, but that last column's probably what we gotta do. And then we move on to the fire department, we move on to the library, and we just swing as hard as we can swing.
Especially when we have another officer coming back in June, so that will leave you the same as now, but with one less salary.
And I hate doing that. I hate to fire somebody, but I don't know how else we do it. I really don't. If the state's gonna lock our hands like they're doing, and we have to have a balanced budget, then we gotta get nasty.
Yeah.
Matt, you agree?
I appreciate the state locking their hands because I'm afraid that if they don't, we're gonna spend like drunken sailors. That's why they did it. But all these cities around Iowa, and we're gonna have a tax levy increase, and I understand we haven't had one for 10 years, and we're gonna, so I'm for, my question is intended to say, if we're, okay, let's just play Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood here for a second and say this imaginary land. If you'd have told us 2 years ago that we were gonna end 2026 with $565,000 spent, we would have said, there's no possible way to do that.
Half of what we did in 24.
We're gonna have to fire half our police force, sell half of our cars, get rid of this, get rid of that, but we haven't done any of that. And so, and this isn't just directed at the police department, this is all these categories. Like, we say that we need this money, and if we don't have it, we're not gonna be able to exist. There's gonna be this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem. But here we are, and we're actually making it with far less than we ever thought we could get by on. And so that makes me say, what are we saying now that we absolutely need? That 3 years from now, if the worst case scenario played out and we did it on $400,000 or something crazy, we'd go, wow, I thought we couldn't get by on that little money, but look, we just did. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at.
The kid in the candy store.
That's right.
You give me a checkbook, I'll buy everything in the store.
That's right.
If I only have $1, I'm gonna be selective what I do with it.
Yep. And that's not the Hudson Police Department. That's
No.
government in general.
Government,
That's
yeah.
just,
Yeah.
that's,
Exactly.
Of course, yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, but you're right, it's government in general. If I've got $500,000 budget,
of someone else's money,
I'm gonna
not
spend
mine.
$501,000.
Right.
You know, and that's the thing, I think we have to tell all of our departments, we need to be frugal.
I mean, what I'm coming in here with is, yeah, I think at a minimum, you have to do that last column. I think you might have to do more. But I don't know what that looks like. And I don't know how that translates to fire. I don't know how that translates to library and every other department, but I mean, bring it in.
Julie, what does the 544? I know you're working on other things
Yeah.
too.
No,
What does the 544 get us in that number that you shared earlier? So
the last column,
Danny's got a last column
544.
with a projected,
You take the 84,000 out of my budget. That, cause you just wanna get to the 105, 110, right?
Where
No.
does that leave it?
more than that.
Or, oh, okay.
140, 150,
Okay,
Okay,
I missed
we
that.
have 105 to pay, but we need to target 140, 150 to put some money back away.
Mhm.
So, you know, we take 85 with him, that leaves us 65, 55 to hit with the rest of the budgets.
so that leaves
I-
20,000.
I'd argue that number is higher than 150.
You think it's higher?
Yeah, like I said, like if we put $30,000 away in reserves,
That ain't enough.
we're never gonna get a balance that's
It's
meaningful.
gonna be, and the only reason I pulled that 150 number, I think it's gonna be hard to get there
I know,
without doing something.
I know it will.
major.
Yeah,
But I'm with you, Mark, that we need to put some money, we need to get back on the positive side.
Yes. I think 30 is a good start for this year, and then as next year and as we get TIF money coming in and start increasing that, but I think 30 will be a good start.
I don't. Just, but I'm one vote, by the way.
Yeah.
Not everybody has to agree with me. I don't think 30 is enough.
Yeah, no, and I agree with what Jeff was saying, and that was a perfect analogy of, you know, a kid with a candy, in a candy store. I think before we had the money from the sale of the electric, company, and then we have the traffic, camera money, and we just spending without checking, and that's why, you know, you see those kind of expenses, and now we're in this situation, so, yeah. mean, like I said, I never wanted to get rid of anybody, let people go. It wasn't in my plan, in my cards, but since we have one officer coming back, I mean, that will leave the police at the same force right now, but with one less salary, so that would be my choice, the
Danny.
last column.
I don't wanna go like line by line, but like, when you're looking at these numbers, and I'm looking at like, this is a small line, but like training, $9,000. We're gonna spend about half of that this year.
Mhm.
We spent 13 and 25 and like, what is the $9,000? And then the gas bill, 25,000. We're expecting to spend like 6,800 this year. Yeah. I know we've spent way more than that in the past. 14,000 and 24 was less, but we spent a lot in 25 for whatever reason. But like, when you're looking at those numbers, what are you thinking changes that those numbers are?
Well, on the gas, and obviously we can't predict gas prices,
Yeah.
but, gonna put a cap on mileage on the cars. To hopefully cut that, maybe even gas be lower, put $70,000, 70 mile cap on all squad cars, to help the gas problem. Training, I mean, there's a lot of free training out there we can do.
Is there required training though that we need to protect?
That's between, my PLS training that we're doing in-house, and then our training with county, which is our firearms and defensive tactics, so that we're fine there. You're to pay the county $500 flat fee for a year that's everybody, but that's for training DT. And then for the PLS online training, that's 1,400 a month, but no, 1,400 flat for a year.
22K for telephone? Is that what
Yeah,
it
that
is?
covers our computer.
Software,
Our
sorry.
computer, the air cards in our computers, and then the, phones at PD, so that's why that's high on top of internet. And then you gotta pay for our cloud storage for all our videos.
Back to that gas one, I might have missed this. If we're going about 65 or $7,000 this year and it's 25 budgeted for next year, what did you see changing substantively?
Dr. Julie,
Oh.
yeah, I won't put you on this one.
Yeah, no, that's fine, because the fire department has the same thing. I think that first half, the ending of last fiscal year, there was, bills were being paid. They were
Misallocated.
being double paid, and then, so there was a big credit for duplicated payments, because like on those bills, they're a little confusing, because at the very top of the first page is where it says the credit balance, but on the back where everybody signs, it has the amount of that gas fuel used.
Got it.
So they just kept paying it even though there was a credit on, anyway. So they, both departments have a pretty good, gift given for the fiscal year, because they, like the fire department, I didn't start paying any fuel until December, because they had credit, so it got
Got it.
filled and it had a credit balance.
So the 6,800 is misleading. We paid 14,000 in 24, paid 35,000 in 25.
Previous years.
Yeah.
Like I said, I know how gas prices, now with the war now, where gas is gonna go, so just be safe to.
You had 35K in 2025, actual.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I see it. But again, who knows if that's real, based on what you were saying. I mean,
That was when there was no clerk here, Mike. That wasn't, that was happening when,
yeah, I get it. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if I can believe even, I'm not saying I can't believe Danny. I'm just saying the numbers that we are going from are, right?
We basically paid, call it 57,000 over 3 years.
I would definitely say that 35,000 is not an accurately stated number
Okay, yeah.
because of how it was being paid.
I think the
That is
numbers,
why the number this year is so low, because there was,
I see. Yeah, I get it.
the real number is probably something like 20, but
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm good.
So on a brighter side, I'll have a surplus of money to go to the deficit.
A surplus of money that'll go into our reserves.
There you go, yeah, so it's a couple thousand, whatever, so then, I mean,
Write us a check back. Up there.
it just stays in there. It doesn't go anywhere.
I wanted to see him write us a check.
I know, right?
so. Any other questions?
How do you feel about losing an officer? I know your answer, but I want to hear.
I don't, I mean, I just keep it plain and simple, I don't, but. I don't, put it that way. And then, there's some things I'm afraid of, just when it comes to, equipment, we train every year in firearms, ammo's not cheap, and I gotta tell my officers like, hey, no practice, just hopefully qualify. We have an officer that struggles at shooting, so it's just like, and you guys depend on us to be a good shot, and, if we can't practice the way we want to practice, we don't have the ammo. I don't like that, but it is what it is, I guess.
is that your operating supplies or what line is that?
Ammo will go under operating supplies, yeah. Our body cameras are coming out of warranty. Either-
Constitute in here for the vests that we need to,
Yeah, I got 2 vests coming up,
and that needs to be in here.
so I think I put that under operational equipment.
That's like $700, right?
770, close to a grand.
Yeah.
And so there's two coming up in this next fiscal year budget that need to be replaced.
I mean, and the reality of it is if we're budgeting low and and it's gonna happen in all the departments. There's gonna be overages, there's gonna be situations where there's unforeseeable things that we don't see coming, and that's when you have to do a budget amendment. I mean, we can sit and get this down to bare bones, but the reality of the situation is there will be budget amendments. I mean, we're gonna have to relook at the whole budget again within the fiscal year and be like, okay, we're way under, or I do both. So I'll do revenues. You're not required, but if we have more revenue come in, I put that in there. But, it's just the reality of the game. I mean, you have no idea. Just like you have no idea when your air conditioner is gonna go out of your house or your furnace, you just don't know.
Here's a question, Joe. I think I just for our ticket money, does that come back to my department or to general fund?
It goes, it goes to the police department, but the police department's in the general fund, so. But yeah, I mean, it shows as a revenue for your department.
So it's my money to spend or put into
It goes
my
towards
budget,
your,
overall budget.
right, I mean, if you wanna know the reality of the situation, with your budget revised at 544, your revenues per the police department are projected at 79,000, so you're spending 544,000, but department brings in 79,000. So it's not yours to spend, it's not additional expenses you get to use, it just goes to offset some of the expenses. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so we do have that revenue coming in. Yeah.
And just so you guys know, when I came up with these numbers, I did every department with expenses and revenues and offset them. So that bottom line is based off of revenues per department and expenses.
No, and again, it sucks that we have to ask you for a second year in a row to reduce budget, and that's we're gonna ask everybody else, but we gotta be responsible, we gotta be tight, we gotta be frugal, like, we're saying with our money. And unfortunately, you know, the times where, you know, we have the money to spend and splurge, it's not there, at least not now, and hopefully in the next couple of years, we'll be back in a more solid position to revise this and make changes and give you guys more money.
We won't be.
Yeah.
I get the sentiment factor, I just don't wanna give you the impression that we're gonna be, cause we're a long way from that. That's the reality of it. If we can only put $30,000 away in reserves, we're years and years away from opening up the checkbook. Just, I just wanna be honest with you.
Well, I understand, just the private J thing with the fire department, as their community grows. Chase would need more equipment for like removing snow and.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
know.
the populations would grow and you expect us
Yeah.
to police and serve a population that's.
Yeah, I'm just being honest with you. I mean,
That's fine, we'll get it done.
yeah, the money's the money, right? Like, the town gets bigger unless some of these TIF, and I know we do have one of the TIFs expiring like next year. But like, until the town getting bigger equals more revenue, and the money that comes in is the money that comes in. I just don't wanna tell you like next year you're gonna be in good shape, cause
I know,
I don't think that's the case.
I think so, what's going on, so.
The only comment you made that concerns me is that, ammo. I really don't wanna get shot by a stray bullet.
Well, I mean, the fire department always have water. I mean,
Or shoot my water line and my water tank goes up.
I just don't wanna put
So
our
Danny,
community officer at disadvantage when we can't.
what number do you need for ammo?
But here, it was only 5,000 the previous two, or the last 3 fiscal years, so we knocked it down to.
So you must want some cheap bullets.
Well, we have duty and we have practice. But we not buy duty and practice for 223 and duty and practice for 9mm. Now, so I think we're good. I think I stocked up on 223. It's just 9mm. We're kind of, I don't like where we're at.
Gotta take your brain for a minute.
My brain's your brain.
2024, we spent 45,000 in supplies. Would that have been vest and things like that?
And what, people here?
2024.
I'm knowing, I can't even tell you how all that equipment at the PD got bought. Literally.
Thought. Okay, nope, that answered my question.
So I just, yeah, I can't tell you how half that stuff at the PD got bought.
And I think we found that out. There was a lot of numbers hung that nobody really knew.
Yeah.
You know, and it's unfortunate. Now we try to reflect back, and like Matt said, we really don't have a true hard number that we can reflect back and say, okay, you know, our budget was this. And it should have been somewhat of a straight line to, you know, but, okay.
Did you say you didn't know what got bought?
Majority of the stuff at the PD got caught, well, last year, during our transfer station down
I
there.
mean, how, like,
You don't know what line item it went
No.
under, yeah.
or like where the money came from?
Chrissy just bought it. Chrissy, I'm not sure,
So some of those supplies, Matt, were probably when we transitioned out of Hudson Electric into the police department.
Yeah. I called the computers for officer at her own computer. I don't know where that came from on the lines.
You have equipment purchase, you have operating supplies, 45,000. Last year, there's 100,000 in equipment purchase, so like. We'd have to go back and look and see what those actual things were.
Gun save. Part of guns and cash and. Other kind of cabinets down there for evidence, so yeah. I can't tell you where they came from.
Could have been Canberra money.
Could have been,
Could have been camera money fines that
Yeah.
were collected. and-
Yeah, this only reflects the expenses. It doesn't show the revenues.
Right.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Who is next on the docket, Finley?
Do you kind of go to the fire and ambulance?
Okay.
Fire, I was thinking the ambulance too. I'll get them confused. Uh-huh.
Brooklyn's fire.
Yep.
Fire. And
Well.
So we'll start with the fire,
Yes, ma'am.
but Jared. Talk about your budget. So the new budget was the one that we had started with. Again, it's the white column. And then, after we had our meeting, the yellow column is the, budget that got brought back.
We just start with the wages. We're projecting 11.5 to end, but we're gonna budget less.
The wages, don't look at that. This wants to calculate like they're on a regular payroll and they're not. So I don't believe, I think you guys have been paid already twice for one. So I have to pay you again this fiscal year? You guys just. Okay,
So
so yeah, they only get paid once a year, so that,
So the
that won't
83.50,
change.
the vehicle reserves. 230, huh?
It is not, I didn't reprint it, so, and actually it only goes down to 220. So you can, this 335 bottom is gonna be 320.
330. Okay, so take out the reserves.
The reserves is only at $220,000, we've paid 103,000.
What do we got on the docket purchases coming up for equipment? For that reserves?
That's
No, I mean,
not
that's for that's for the tanker.
the tanker that we have to finish paying.
Oh,
That's what that is.
235 is the tank.
Yeah.
Okay, so that,
Yeah.
all right,
Yes.
so makes sense.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
No, that's just to pay for the tanker that was already
Gotcha.
ordered.
Okay, that one's, so we can sort of cross that through.
Yeah.
What are the dues and memberships?
That'd be like after, our police association and the firefighter association, and all that other little piddly stuff. You can go on to.
Remember at one point we approved some magazine for everybody.
Yeah, that would have came out, I think, subscriptions. Is what that would have came out of.
So is the 22,000 payment to other agencies or other professional services?
Payments to other agencies.
What is that?
So,
Mutual aids,
yeah,
Mutual aid.
mutual aid, we call in.
hazmat,
Okay,
That's our,
Oh, what?
on fire side, that'd be our hazmat,
okay.
that'd be the.
EMA,
EMA, all those.
And that's
I
hard,
heard one.
that's a hard number to try to,
Yes.
you just don't know.
There's gonna be an additional one added this year from the county, so that's why we kind of wait back and forth on. It's an unknown number, cause cause if you look at their trend, it's less than 22,000,
Right.
definitely, but with that new one coming in, there's no way to know, and they can charge us whatever they want, so.
Yeah, okay.
You say the number at the bottom, Julie, should be 320.
320, 325, yeah. 320,325 dollars.
We produce about 17,500 from the original proposed.
Garage doors have to be done this year.
That's where we had, what did you say, 20,000 left for that, yeah. And then we put another 20 in because our gutters are bad and we found out that the gutters on that building are tied into the roof. So.
Yeah, told me that.
So we got Band-Aids on it, kind of get through until we can, I talked to Julie about getting some capital reserves money, because the building's 30 years old. So,
Hammer out.
We need to get an idea of what it's gonna be, and then we can,
yeah, but yes, we're planning on doing one of the doors and the openers this year, and then next year doing another door.
The equipment purchases, 16, is that like
That's for, yeah, that's for fire gear.
fire gear and stuff?
Hoses, nozzles, all that.
What would be in the same way that the police budget had the minus an officer column? What would be the next level of cutting? You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm talking to
All right.
Sadler.
That's on off.
Yeah, this, maybe you don't have a copy of the police budget, but over here in the far column, it's the new budget, and then it's the even worse than new budget. Like, what would be the worst then categories that you would offer up if there had to be a sacrifice made, a further sacrifice?
God, man, you look at it, garage doors, they'd have to live with the garage doors if we took it out. That's a big ticket item.
Mhm.
Then I don't know what else you'd take out,
They're pretty lean
you know,
in there.
in the end, it just,
I do wanna say that the tanker is a big part of their budget. If you take that out, their budget is reduced to 100,325. Compared to what their actual expenditures were last fiscal year, their actual budget was 154,729, so it's a $54,000 reduction.
Yeah, they're pretty lean.
Not that, I mean, if you guys wanna take the garage doors off, but I mean, when you take that
right, no,
tanker out of these numbers, it makes a difference.
Yep.
and that, I mean, if you look at the high dollar, it's that, which is building maintenance. Yeah. And what did you say on the wages?
They only get paid once a year.
Okay, cool. And that's that total, that's.
Right, so they are doing, because I don't know how long it's been since any of the captains have ever had a raise, so they did. So, yeah, so 14 years since any of the captains have had a raise, they did budget to have an additional $100 per captain position.
So
That's 7 people.
did we lose somebody? Cause what's estimated for this year is down $2,000.
Yeah, we had it budgeted for last year, but we didn't get it.
Oh, okay.
That estimated end number, I think Julie said was wrong because we've already made the payment, 8350 is the number, not
Yeah, the
11.
system just automatically does an equation, an average.
Yeah,
And I can say this, the line item for an equipment purchase. Not necessarily touch that, because if I remember right, from my time on the fire department as equipment captain, if we were to get into a fire and some of the uniform, the turnout gear and that is damaged, and it's required by OSHA, you have to replace it. You have no choice. It has to be replaced. If you don't, then you get OSHA to come down on top of you along with your insurance company, and I think we got problems now.
Yeah, it's like a 6 to 8 month lead time. After you get the, by the time it's made and delivered.
And the equipment line item, you can't.
We are buying a couple sets every year. Cause we know some fire departments that got grant money, and they bought their whole fire department brand new gear. Everybody's happy. Well, for us, you have 40 people, guess what? It all comes due to replace all at the same time. So we're trying to get out of that trend. So we're only have to buy a couple sets a year.
No, that's smart.
Just the coat and pants is probably. What Mike said the other day. 3,800.
Heck, were we just talking about Mike's boots? They're like what, $800 or something like that, just for the $500 just for the boots?
That would come out of that equipment purchases.
I think we're just gonna have to get really picky with some of the stuff as it comes in at the time. Like what we've talked about, like before you guys go do something and pay for it and then come to us for reimbursement, I think we just gotta have a policy in place of what we will reimburse or what we will cover within these budgets. And then advance requests for those things so that we know where we stand.
Jared and I talked to today about maybe adding some more line items to kind of section out like these big lines where just a lump sum of stuff come out so that there's a more defined, so there's a better way to budget so you can limit, like we really didn't spend as much on this particular type of item, but you can't see when it's mixed into that giant.
Pants and coats and helmets.
Right.
Versus boots that, we have, 30 something firefighters and
like
how often do they get boots and how much will we cover?
So their go gear or whatever it's called, and then the equipment, like the hoses and stuff, maybe do some type of, cause it wouldn't be uniform because uniforms is a completely, it's just a more defined budget that we can start, keeping better track.
Yeah.
What's your feeling on the garage doors?
We definitely need new openers. And we need to have panels replaced, but talking with all the guys, we don't wanna have a brand new panel on the bottom. And old at the top, and they said that they more likely can't get them to match up and mesh together the way they're supposed to.
so it's pretty much.
But they're supposed to be able to handle a lot more, they're supposed to be able to handle, the new one's supposed to handle water. Better than what these old ones do.
How much, did you get a quote for the actual doors then?
I haven't gotten them back yet.
We don't know if that's a defined number.
About 20.
That will probably get us a door and some openers this year. We're hoping, at least the openers, because we're having a lot of issues with those.
So I'm gonna step back for a second. You know, we had during this whole party that we have going on with our budget, the townships contribute to your reserves, right? No.
There's a
There's a
discrepancy.
discrepancy between us.
So what are the two sides?
We're under the impression that when the say it was 100,000, just throwing a number out there, 100,000.
Yeah, yeah.
We were gonna take 70 of it, and that was gonna go directly to vehicles. The other 30 was gonna go toward our operational. And then the city pick up the rest.
But
And that's how I thought that's how we were under something that it all worked, like
but that was the money we were getting from the townships.
some townships. And that was them paying for the fire service.
Julie, what's the I'm not trying to pick a fight here. I just want to know what are the differences?
There's nowhere that it says that, like, it's not in the 28E agreement. I mean, if they had an agreement with the city prior to me being here, I don't know. I thought, I mean, there was, conversations about the township, a 28E agreement stating that money was supposed to go to a reserve, and, from the way that I've read the contract, that's saying that it gives the formula for how you figure out what their portion is based off of population and budget and calls, and it's, I don't even know, this spreadsheet hurts my brain, but, the way that I'm reading the contract is up here, it says, it gives you the formula, tells you how it's all figured out, and then it says, you know, they will levy for their portion, and then the city pays a much larger portion. And then down a few sections, it says that the townships shall, and then there was one that had a handwritten that said may, adopt a separate levy that would go towards, building a reserve for equipment replacement. And they had the option to have the city take care of that funding. So the payments that I've gotten from the townships are the amounts that are going out based off of the formula that's on the upper thing. So where they had it figured out where part of that money was going towards a reserve, I have no knowledge of that. I don't know how that was all determined or how it was figured out, because to me, like, for instance, this budget here for $335,000, which I gotta change it now to 320. Out of that $320,000, the townships pay $114,000 and the city pays $205,000. So we're paying almost double. So I guess I don't understand how that formula all plays out. I don't know. The township thing has been, who would
Well, that
it?
township stuff the money would accumulate, because we don't buy a truck every year.
But it's not, it's for operational purposes. It's not for equipment. That's the 28E agreement says that that's their share for the operational expenses for us providing them a service.
So you said something there that I'm interested in. Our portion of the 320 is 2 something and the townships is 100 something. So when we look at 320, we should be thinking 2.
That is,
If we use the township money for all operational to pay for everything, but under the fire department's agreement or impression is that that money couldn't be touched or go towards operating expenses, but it had to be separated in a reserves account.
So, go ahead, Jeff.
So what happened last year?
last year. Yeah, I know.
Also, when you say operating, are you talking fire department operating or city general
I-
operating?
Fire.
I think that's
Yeah,
what-
it only goes to fire. Everyone agrees on that.
Yeah.
Township money only goes to fire.
100%, it goes to
Okay.
the 150 fund. Or not fund.
But the
150
discrepancy is like,
I get it.
we use the 100,000 to cover
The cost of the fire department.
the cost of the fire
So
department.
to me, the garage door needs to open so they can get out and go to the township and put the fire out,
But that,
you know? Fire equipment, I understand your trucks, Jared, don't.
Yeah,
But you know, you're gonna buy boots, coats, jackets, helmets
Mhm.
as part of that too, so.
I.
This was something I've never understood. I only heard bits and pieces and, you know, when one of the gentlemen stood up and said we misappropriated those
The
funds.
township money. Yeah.
Somebody's gotta explain this.
Yeah, like, it would be nice if some, like, I don't know who knows 2080 agreements and who could.
It's not about
come in
the
and-
28 agreement, it's about the agreement and the formulas and what they are thinking is happening and what the new people understand the agreement to be.
So who is it that should come explain it to us? Is there some, or is it just like we just figured it out? Like, how's it?
Jared
Does that work?
mentioned that there was somebody that might be able to help me understand like the spreadsheet and that I've thought about just reaching out on ClerkNet and seeing if there's anybody who does it the way that we do it and that has experience with. Because I don't know where the numbers, like, there's a
Mhm.
lot of numbers on this spreadsheet and I don't like not knowing the accuracy. And I can't say that what I'm putting in there is giving me the correct result. I don't know, so it's frustrating for me.
Today, if I understood everything right, today, we are putting in our budget 320. Somewhere we'll have a revenue of 100 coming back in, right?
Correct.
But that is not in that 320 number that's going against us.
Well, none of them are. I mean, none of the numbers that we're looking at show the revenues that come in.
Same as
Right?
Danny.
Cause it's still an expense that we pay out. We're paying the bulk of it, so we still have to cover it. But yes, it does constitute as a revenue. And it's actually, I guess.
And where I'm concerned is, and I might say this wrong, I would sooner see that number at 220 and offset with the 110, so the fire department gets the credit versus work with 320 and that number comes in against the police, library and fire department. Did I say that right?
I don't understand.
So we got a budget that we need to work within.
Yep.
And the fire department's 320 that is in our budget. There's this 110,000 that comes in as revenue.
Mhm.
Where does it go? It doesn't go against the 320 that we approved our budget on.
It kind of.
Kind of.
It
Does
just
it go
doesn't
to offset
reflect it
that cost?
Just like Danny's 79 or whatever we said that he gets,
Some tickets are.
doesn't pay for his whole budget. But it does technically,
But if we only have to deal with 220, that changes a whole lot of what we gotta deal with today.
Right, I think,
well, I think Julie's got that factored in though, cause she stacked all the revenues. She stacked all the expenses and said,
In the bottom numbers, like that, and I had 125, I just reduced it actually, because after I got.
not
their
these bottom
but-
numbers, but the bottom numbers.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
And I think if I understand it, the discrepancy is that $100,000 that comes in, it for sure goes to fire. And it for sure goes against that 320,
Okay.
but does 30,000 of it only go toward operating costs within the fire department and 70,000 be set aside? Or does the whole 100,000 go against operating costs? That's the discrepancy, is that right?
Yes. You got
And
it.
what Jared is saying, the way we've always done it is that 70-30 thing. And what Julia is saying is there's nothing in the documents that say that.
yeah, I don't.
Is that a summary?
Mathematically, I don't see it, like,
Yeah,
there's
right.
somewhere where I can see where there was this 70%.
And it might have been
Way
in the
somewhere.
budget that we were gonna do it, but we never actually took
I mean,
the
if it-
70 and moved it
If
potentially.
it's where that reserve line was and that was that, portion, it was still just getting absorbed back in.
Yeah, you actually have to physically move it to a
Correct.
reserve
Outside of
balance.
the general fund.
outside of the general
General
fund.
fund, all of it.
Otherwise, it just gets absorbed somewhere else.
It gets absorbed into the general fund and then rebudgeted out
That's right.
next year, so.
Yeah, you have to take the action to move the money, just putting in the budget doesn't get it into reserves. So
Take it into
if you don't actually do that, then that money is just sitting there and we say, oh, well, let's remodel the well, because we have money, right? Sorry.
So my intention moving forward, when we have reserves, is we're gonna have like general fund, just for basic accounting purposes, is the 001 fund, right? I'm gonna have like a 002 or a 003 as its own fund, it's gonna be the reserve fund, and then every department that it'll go, so it'll be 002, 110, and then their reserves lines, and then the library and the fire department. So all these departments, it's gonna be taken out of the general fund. And then when we do the treasurer's report, you'll be able to see the total in our reserves. And that money is specifically for those departments. And
What?
that's how,
It's supposed to be.
that's how I have done it in the past. So,
So do we clarify everything between the fire and ambulance? Guys are behind them, then with the mayor and that, do we need to have a meeting with the fire and the ambulance people, you and the mayor and the township trustees?
there's gonna have to be
And
something.
everybody's gonna have to get together and say, iron out what are our expectations, and if we're cutting you a check for X amount based off of whichever formula the legislature says, then you need to do that in handwriting, and then from this day going forward, that's what we're operating underneath of, is a set agreement that certain amount goes to here and amount goes to here, and Julie just line items, everything out.
Yeah, you just gotta be real careful, because if you end up in that conversation saying that that money's going to vehicle reserves, reality is we can't afford that today.
Which is why we need to have
Yeah,
a meeting that says, for now, today, based on the finances today, this is what, if everybody's in agreement, this is what we're gonna do. But then we can change it, have another meeting down the road.
I think that a little differently, that we need to make sure that the language in the contract couldn't be interpreted to say that we have to put money into vehicle reserves. And once we confirm that, then we use it however in this budget we need to. And then we move forward, and then eventually we want to be able to put money into vehicle reserves, we're just not there today. So I think we just need to confirm that. And then we can continue to budget.
Because what the legislature stipulates is that the townships pay for their fire service. It doesn't stipulate that the townships pay for fire trucks.
Yep.
That's the difference. And right now, we can't pay for fire trucks.
The
Right.
agreement,
Not without loans.
I don't even have copies of all of them, like at least where I've looked, that there's a fire township binder and there isn't one for all of them, so I'm at a loss, really, I mean, I don't have.
They get
I
filed
looked on the
somewhere.
Secretary of State, all 28Es are supposed to be, loaded and, there's none on there. So I can't even verify what any of them say, or if there
Yeah.
was an agreement or anything. So we just definitely need to have a meeting with the townships. I know they're gonna try to negotiate and make sure that, you know, there are words written in there, but that's why we have an attorney. We need to find out if there's a standard agreement for these services that we can just maybe.
And to take some of the heat off the last few years, it sounds to me like some of this goes back, just agreements and handshake understandings go back way beyond even all of our time, you know what I mean?
So as you look through that fire department, is there anything,
Those garage doors are the only thing that jumps out, and it here's how my brain works, a little weird. But like, I'm thinking about these garage doors and I'm like, yeah, these guys need functional garage doors to get out, right? But are they functional today? maybe. And then I think about, we just asked Danny to basically fire somebody and we're looking at garage doors, so, just it's a challenging thing for me to think through, but I know that this budget is,
Like 20's just not the garage doors.
yeah, I know the openers,
It's,
Yeah.
well, no, it's just the building maintenance,
yeah,
so.
yeah.
When you say the openers are acting up, what is there to act up on an opener? It either opens or it doesn't. I'm missing something here.
It's more or less the receivers, and then they can't even get parts if one of our openers does break.
They're just outdated.
They're 30 years old.
Are those 14-foot doors? Well, it's not like it's a manual lift if it won't open.
Oh, no, you're not.
Yes, okay.
Mine at home isn't nearly that old. Put that building up before COVID, and last summer, during COVID, I had to replace
Yep.
it in the garage door opener because it's a computer chip, and when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Door won't open.
Yeah, they just quit.
Yep.
So then, step to step here, right? Looked at Danny's budget, and we get here. Does the numbers, Julie, on these 2 pages for fire and ambulance, does that chew into even the 110 at all? Or is this include, like, the 110 or the 105 is inclusive of these numbers? And if we shed nothing, then all we've lost is Danny's 84.
So I reduced theirs to the 320.
Which should be 17 out of that,
7.
which then,
Yeah,
which
Because
would
it
get
was
us to about
337.
101 out of the 105 we need to hit. Did I do that right?
So we reduced this.
yeah, because it
to-
was, 337, 925. So 320, 325, we
Yeah,
reduced it
maybe.
by 17,
Sorry, I
500.
wrote it instead of putting it on here. This is going down to 220. So 320, 325. So if I put that in. But I have it in, that brings our number. 238, 322 minus this actually changes to 320. 220. Why am I not mapping? I'm sorry, my brain is about fried from today. We're down to 18,000. After I reduced
Left.
the police department and then fire department to 320. The difference between the deficit between the expenses and the revenues is 238. We have 220 that we are already had in the budget for the fire truck. So that leaves us with 18,000 in the red
To get to zero.
to get to zero.
Yeah. And that's at a 1.93 levy increase, right?
Yeah, a max level.
Max levy.
Library,
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
library.
We don't want to talk about the ambulance, we just,
Yeah.
that's pretty raw.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a page, 48,425.
Oh, this is ambulance, I thought it was library.
That's one, yep. That's.
Read.
Yeah, we haven't gotten the library yet.
You didn't say that's
But
their savior.
So
Oh, no, we went for the ambulance next, okay, next,
okay,
sorry.
that's okay.
So right now, we've got $3,000 savings, right?
Yeah. From what? Sorry.
From what our budget was, so we had 18 and we still need.
Oh, got it.
So we got 3 out of it.
Does that, 48 chew into that 18, or is it part of the 18? The 48.
I don't know, oh,
From 50.
oh, I haven't changed the number in here to 48,000, no, this is
So we at
their
least
new
got-
proposed budget, so when you guys look at this and decide if you want me to take anything else off or add anything else in, I'll throw that in and I'll give you a number.
How about training and travel? What? Travel,
That is our paper calls,
what is it?
paper calls.
What does that mean?
We get paid per ambulance, and that was, I can't remember what year it was that they said we had to start doing it.
Pay like
You pay the driver, you pay the
EMTs and stuff?
EMTs.
Yeah, okay.
That was state legislative
Yeah,
mandated.
yeah.
So
Weird line item name.
operating supplies is at 12. The last couple of years have been substantially less. Is there anything we can do there?
I would cut that one.
We were at almost 7,800. And 3,700 projected for this year. And we got 12,000 in the budget.
Yeah, you reduce it from 15 to 12, but based on the actual expended amounts, that's what Jeff's saying that.
Yeah.
What was that one?
The operating supplies,
Fifth from the bottom.
yeah, the 12,000, is there anything?
Line item 65.
That would be, that one's our, all of our Band-Aids, IVs.
You think? Tim, I know that you're throwing a dart at the wall, I got it, but you know, do you think we could do 10 or 9 on that to get a little bit?
Or why is it 12,000 this year versus spending less than past years?
3,700.
Because we had an abundance supply of stuff from previous years.
Okay, we
So-
chewed,
We chewed up.
we had a surplus, we chewed through it, now we've got to
Manageable
man up.
amount.
Yeah, I didn't know, you know, we put 8 in that column, because we haven't hit 8 for 3 years. Or even 10, I mean, that gets us 2, I know we're splitting hairs on that. I didn't know.
Yeah, 25, we had 7,700 there. We went down to 10. No, so in what Jeff is asking, like, in 25, for example, it was budgeted 14,000 and we spent 7,700.
That was your high year.
26, we had budgeted 17 and we spent 2,700. So he's asking, yeah, we reduce it from 15 to 12 for this year, but he's asking if we can reduce it to maybe 10 or 9. Since we have not broken that $10,000 mark in the last 3 years, 4 years.
What do you wanna go down?
I would not go past. I'm talking about the $12,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
Operating supplies.
Yeah.
I would not go lower than 10.
Because,
You know what medical supplies are? They will hit you.
I don't
You
doubt,
can go in one day and it could be $50 for a bag of IV fluids. You come back next week and you get $65 for a bag of IV fluids because
Mhm.
some supplier, like a few years ago, the hospital, our supplier for IV fluids came out of Puerto Rico or Costa Rica, somewhere in there, and they got wiped out by a hurricane.
Mhm.
No supplies available for IV fluids and the cost went,
Mhm.
so
I'm just saying compared to previous years, we haven't even come close to 10. But maybe Jared, is there like are you expecting to spend more, ahead of time, you're expecting to spend more than usual this year because of some reason?
Hoping not, but like I said, we took our supplies down.
Yep.
so
I hear that.
We're trying to find that happy medium. yeah, we're leaving ourselves some cushion.
And like I said,
We're just not quite sure.
right,
So that, go ahead, Julie.
I was just gonna bring up the budget amendment thing. I mean, if we're trying to cut budget and we do happen to have a crisis spike,
Rich,
type, you know, that's why we do budget amendments. It's, I mean, if you can't not have medical supplies, you know, you can plan to not have as many and then be like, well, shit,
Yeah.
we can't help it. And that's why the purpose of a budget amendment.
Conversely, if we're getting through the year and we're not spending much, I mean, a lot, like you said, Julie, I mean, we're working toward having a lot more stuff go through council.
So that's what we would like to.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna have the opportunity to look at how things are advancing and whether we spend X or Y dollars
Well, and
for this or that.
we'll have these budget reports, once we got a budget that is.
Yep.
You're gonna be able to see the monthly expenses.
Yeah, so I think the overarching thing is just because this is the budget we approve doesn't mean go spend all of it. Right,
Or that we'll have enough to cover it all. I mean, there's never, you'll never know
right,
until it's done.
yep,
So if we did 10 on the supplies, that's another 2. And if we could do 5 on the training, that's another 2. That would get us 7 out of this budget.
And that one's tough, because you never know what the EMTs have to go to for classes or what the costs are gonna be,
same
Yeah.
thing, we can adjust.
so.
I think we understand that, you know, if you come back and say, hey, they gotta go to the class and at the end of the year, it's 10 grand, it makes sense. We had to have the training. Yeah. So,
So we want to reduce, I got the 2,000 out of operating supplies, then we're gonna reduce development and training from 7 to 5.
yeah. So that would get us a net 7 out of the budget.
Where else did you cut? Cause that's,
Well,
The 3 from
Going
the
back to
51 to the 48.
oh, okay,
yeah, sorry,
that's okay.
if everybody's good with that.
I think the reason why the training is up is because if we do send somebody to EMT school, the cost of that stuff is going up, yeah, so.
You know, that's a judge's price, you know, ammunition as a supply. Right now, we just gotta try to get it where we can.
is library the last one?
We'll do that one right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't have Jake.
What do you got?
Jake.
I don't have Jake.
You watching the scores over there?
No, I'm watching my next meeting.
Um,
As you sit in the front row watching scores.
Yeah, you like that.
okay. So that brings us down to $11,530. That's just.
Oh, Mary. Here we are.
The target was, I think, about 11%. I went to my library foundation and they agreed to take over. They already had all of the programming line items, that's $4,000. They already had money in towards materials in the previous year. They funded the Dolly Partners Imagination Library, around 3,000 a year but expecting 3,500. But they agreed to take over all of the materials budgets. So that got the foundation's contribution up to 25,500. 29 if you figure in Dolly, but they send that money direct, that doesn't run through the city, so 25,500, Julie put in as revenue coming in
Yeah.
from the foundation.
So the expense number doesn't go down, but the revenue went up. So,
So that offset that. That, out of 11%, that leaves us $20,000. That all has come off wages. And that means less open hours, less employees. There's really, I can't take it off utilities. Although I've been investigating, doing LED lighting, unfortunately. that's an upfront expense if, I have a bid from Chapman, 12,625 to retrofit the library to LED lighting. Right off the top of that, we could get 1,500 in credit against the Mid-American bill. That gets it down to 11,125. In 2025, our electric bill was 6,541 total. They estimate you start saving 50% of that right off the top as soon as that project is done. So we would save 3,270 a year. In 4 years, you would make all that back up, and then the rest of that is no longer a further expense on the library. But, you know, there's that initial 12,600, and that's not in this budget, anywhere. That's what we would have in the past taken out of our building reserve fund, which no longer exists, so. But, you know, like I said, we'd have to cut 20,415 in wages and open hours to hit that 11%.
How does that reduction, just open hours, Mary, no personnel reduction?
No personnel, people would move both. Yeah. The other thing that is a real red herring in all this is the state legislation. There's some just really adverse library bills that were out there. They didn't make this second funnel, but today they threw it right back into, take it onto a revenue bill. One of the things is the way libraries are currently managed in the state of Iowa is you have your library board who pretty much operates independently. They hire the director and the director runs the library, hires and fires. This legislation would put that burden on you. They would make the library board advisory only. You would be responsible for setting the policy. One of the things that they've thrown in there is a requirement that everything in the library would have to be reviewed for age appropriateness. There is no real definition on what that is. There are 35,000 things in that library. The only way to guarantee that a child doesn't walk over to the adult fiction section and pick up a book is have more staff to make sure no child strays over there, or that you would not allow any person under the age of 18 in the library without a parent or guardian, because we can't watch them all every minute. Or, you know, Decorah put out what their choices are. You get rid of all the adult books, or you get rid of all the children's books and you don't serve children. You put up a wall. You know, it's just not manageable. It's just not manageable. So anyway, but that would put the burden of all the, you know, financial management, everything else right on Julie and you. So who knows where they go with that, but if they do, you know, do we just need a director? And he said, you know, they didn't have time to run the library. And then not have an assistant director? I don't know. But anyway, we're looking at right now to make 11% cut, we would have to cut $20,000 off of wages.
What, give me a like practical example of what you think the hours and.
If I used just an average of all the library wages, that would come in at $24 an hour in order to even cut 5,000. That would be 6 open hours. And that's only for one person for that hour.
Per week.
Lots of times we're doubled up.
6 hours per week,
What's that?
6 hours per week.
Yes. To cut 12 hours per week, that would get us 15,000, so we're still not at the 20. And like I said, that's only cutting.
What hour, give me like your hours.
Monday, we are open 10 to 8. Tuesday, we are open 8 to 8. Wednesday's 10 to 8. Thursday is 10 to 8. Friday is 10 to 6. Saturday is 10 to 2. So in order to even come up with that 6 hours, I said, okay, we could not open till 11 in the morning instead of 10. Or Wednesday, we could maybe close at 6. Pick one evening where we're not open instead of 8. Quite as much, but that still only got us $5,500.
So Mary, I got a couple questions for you.
Mhm,
Travel,
mhm.
you can pull $2,000 out of that travel.
Yeah, again, it's the same thing that everybody else says, you've gotta have your continuing education and your training, so.
Yeah, I
So
just
that
look
makes
at-
it difficult, but what that travel pays for is the director every 2 years to the Public Library Association Conference. And usually 2 staff members every year to the Iowa Library Association Conference, which is always in the state.
So would that 2024 been that big year of travel?
Yes, because I'm going to the PLA conference in 2 weeks. It's every other year.
Makes sense.
Okay. The next one down, the building maintenance. This is a shot in the dark.
Yep.
Did we get 4 out of that? You never know.
Let me look at, if I have a. Well, I have 12,000, up 6,000 for furnace replacement, moved from reserves. But Julie, didn't we talk about, is that what we were gonna pull out, or no, that was what I put out of reserve request? We were gonna spend that 6,000 out of the trust fund and just replace furnaces as they break down. But I pulled that out of reserve request, right?
Yeah. But we did keep your building maintenance at 12,000. I thought that's what we were gonna fix.
Well, it's,
Cause if we doubled what your usual, it went from 6 as a regular, and then we put 12 in for building
we
maintenance.
pulled it out of spend reserves when we put it in building maintenance. But then do we need to take it out of building maintenance and then spend it out of trust fund and it breaks down?
We can't.
Would that already be 6 less?
That can be the outreach and person fee. And then with that, I probably better.
No, that's okay.
So 6 out of that number then?
Well, down 6. The other thing that I can do, because I am, but this won't help my budget, it just helps your bottom line, because the insurance guy suggested that because I am 65 plus, I could go ahead and go on Medicare, get a Part G supplement, and even if the city pays for all of that, Medicare and all my supplements, it would save you multiple $1,000s a year.
Yes,
But that doesn't help my budget.
yeah.
It doesn't come out of it. That's just something for your bottom line.
Well, technology software,
That is,
8,500 that we've been floating around, couple thousand a year, 2, 3.
that's a new server. It's already, that'll put it at 7 years old, so I can't delay that.
And that,
Or no, you said which one?
Technology and software.
Technology services?
Software.
6419 or?
6419.
Okay. 6419 is the support for the circulation system, cataloging system. It is the antivirus software, WebRoot. It is 3 Wi-Fi hotspots that circulate. It is to pay Microsoft for their software every year, and I used to get that for free for as a nonprofit. I'm not getting anymore. They throttled that. Deep Freeze support. Deep Freeze is a software that the public, the patrons come in and use our computers, and every night they wipe clean. It's the best friend the librarian ever had.
So these are all new services or
No,
what,
existing
what do you think?
server warranty,
Why were these numbers so low in past years? I guess is what I'm wondering. We spent,
You had 16, 2,500, and 2,900. And now we got, that's what was weird, it was 8,562, like a specific buy almost.
yeah, but that's, I'm looking back on this sheet too, it's the same. Well, replace the server. We moved from 6,500 from the reserves that are gone to replace the server.
So you gotta replace the server this year.
We did. I already went from 5 years to 7 years on an extended warranty, but I can't stretch that server longer than 7 years.
okay, so in the technology bucket, we've got a new server.
Yep.
In the programming, right below it, 6490, 4,000.
All funded by the foundation. There is income to offset that.
So Mary, the other one I looked at is 6520, and I know that's books.
That's all funded by the foundation now,
Foundation.
all materials. I told them they need to look at their bottom line and see what their income is every year off of their end of the year push and what they expect to get from the memorial money, things like that, and see what their limit is on what they can give us and still think that they're gonna be able to generate money to give us money. I mean, foundations have usually a base amount that you don't drop below because you wanna generate that income, you know? Their endowment. And I don't know that they had ever actually said, but in the last several years, as this has bumped up, they need to look and see what their endowment amount is and say, this is it, you know? The other thing that worries me as part of that legislation would mean that any donations that go to the library would go to the city council. Personally, they're gonna give money. That is really gonna hurt us. That's crackpot legislation. Why would you do that? You know, why would you do that? Here's my soapbox. Now, I don't know if, I would think the foundation is independent because it is a legally established foundation. And the legislature can't say that money that goes to that independent foundation has to come to the city council, but that would just hurt. You know, there's no point in that.
So Julie, we got 6 out of this. What,
That should be-
with the number that Mary has in here, where are we at?
So that 6 would get the cut for wages down to 14,000 in order to make my 11%.
That'll be before any wages, hold on to that one for a minute.
Okay,
So we would take 6 out of the building maintenance. Where's that get us?
That gets us to 39,000
39,
in the black.
because you got
Because
this,
of the
you got this
25.
number at the bottom that
That's right.
came in.
Yeah, okay. So 30 some odd thousand.
39,469.78.
That's with no power cut right now. Wages for Mary.
That's with the 20,000. I took 20,000
Oh,
out,
yeah.
so I would need
Okay.
to add. It'd be the same thing, so I would just put that back in, up in that line item, so that keeps us at 33,469.78.
Here's a thought, with the SRO program, the school pays half of their salary, will that?
3/4 of it.
Yeah,
Well, we're still
negotiation.
in negotiation. We're working on the new agreement and we gotta present it to the school. And this year, we're gonna propose that they cover half of the 12 months instead of just half of 9 months that it was before. You know, the school year, instead of the full calendar year. So,
And then any overage. For
Well,
like
any-
the overtime that.
any overtime,
So say,
what if it occurred during a school
Event,
Yeah.
right?
event?
what was the first thing you said, Hector? I'm just trying to find, kind of get us in the black without cutting hers. What did you say what you're proposing?
So before they were covering half of the officer's salary,
Yeah.
but based on the school year, so 9 months.
Yeah.
So we're proposing that they cover half of the full calendar year, the 12 month salary, like half of it.
Oh, okay.
So that'll give us a little bit, month and a half more, 3 more months.
That's what they were paying. I thought we
I was confused.
said the contract said something different though.
I don't think what it did, I think that it was just misconstrued. I think we were just doing straight wages. I don't know that we were doing any hike and IFRS. I don't know where her calculations came from, honestly, but,
Yeah.
it wasn't,
I think with that contract, that should give us.
for my first, yeah. And I can do that math really quick, but for my first half of this school year, I billed them 25,162. Prior years, the revenue for the half, let me figure out which channel that's.
Salaries, 3,000.
And you're right, I mean, he does make more than what Annelle was making, but still, it was I think it was only 11,000, 11, or
What were we talking about?
talking about the SRO payments that we received
Yeah.
prior to SRO wages, 11,947, and that was for, it says wages and insurance. And that would only be one half.
Yeah, I don't think we were collecting enough.
And in fact, mine is actually only FICA and IFRS. I didn't even do insurance.
Yeah.
So, and that was $25,000.
Yeah, cause I thought when we talked about it a month or two ago that we had learned that we were under billing.
Well, I mean,
We were not billing
it's like-
properly.
Gross, I mean, like 11,000 versus, and I know I'm missing insurance and it's 25,000 for half.
Yeah.
That was a half, the 11,000 I do, so.
That doesn't change Danny's budget, but it would change the revenue.
It could change his revenue line if
Yeah.
when I get in and I need to understand what all they are paying half. Is it FICA, IFRS, health and dental and vision, like, well, vision they pay for themselves, but, you know, do I need to really do half of everything? Is that what they're agreeing to? Because I can get that number. And that will increase his revenue, but it's
That's
like,
based on if they approve it.
Yeah,
correct.
correct.
My budget includes the 20,000 estimate from Wyckoff County, right? The revenue, the original spreadsheet that I was working on,
I believe so, Mary. I've got
I assume it's there.
your revenues at 47,500. I've got 20,000 for county contribution, yes,
Okay.
2,550 from the foundation and 2,000 from receipts.
Yeah.
So we take 6 off that 220 and make it 214. Right,
Yes,
and
and that's still cutting their wages by 20% or by 20,000,
the 160 was cutting the wages.
correct?
That puts us at
38, 39.
39 positive.
That puts us at. Let's see what I do, I think I added the 6 back in, so. 39,469.78.
I know,
We got 30.
I know it's not
I
much,
told them
but
we'd get more than 30.
it's better than what we're, a lot better
Yeah,
than what we were before.
Like, these are the budget numbers. Some of these things are gonna come in lower, some of them are gonna come in higher. Hopefully, overall, we come in a little bit lower. And then we gotta remember next year we've got TIF expiring, we've got,
A bond that will be.
we're not gonna
paid
be
off.
paying for 3 audits. We're not gonna be paying for a new software installation. But that's what I was trying to tell you, like, that doesn't mean next year we're like, go spend that money, like.
No,
I think we unfortunately have to keep limping along and,
what I was saying is like, it won't get any hopefully worse than this.
yeah,
You know, we have positive things coming up, so we won't ask you hopefully again to have more, that because we're already.
what we need to do at some point is, like, we're working very tactically on these numbers, like, what we need to do to get through this year, and we did that last year, right? But we need to say, how much money do we need in reserves? What is the number? What's our goal? When do we think we need to get there? There's a calculation, for example, on the credit rating.
Isn't that 30% of
It's
our budget?
something like 40% of our revenue. And I don't know what revenue they factor in, and that's to get back to where we were, not, so. At one point we were here, we came down one, I don't think that this council is aware of that, and then you guys learned when we came down another 1 or 2, right? So we should be focusing on how we get back to the original, which I think is 40% of our revenue.
Yeah, because those bond rates were not attractive at all.
Yeah, yeah.
They were poor.
Yeah, and in the future, when we do need to go buy a fire truck, police vehicles, we may consider using bonds instead of pulling out of reserves, but we need to give the best value to our taxpayers by,
And
with
we
low
need-
rates.
We need to get those interest rates down.
Yep,
To where
exactly.
it makes sense to bond.
Yep.
Because today, it really didn't make sense to bond, but
Yeah,
that's what we had to do.
so we should figure out what that number is. What is our target for reserves? And then, all right, how much do we need to do every year to get there? And then we can make better decisions to say, okay, Danny, go bring another officer back in. Mary, open up your hours again.
Right.
So we just need to move at some point from tactical to strategic and have a plan.
Plan ahead.
And I know, like, we don't just throw it at you and say, hey, go figure it out, Mr. Mayor, that's your job, right? Like, I think we need to have these sessions, not now, because I'm tired, it's almost 8 o'clock. But we need to have a session like this to say, what is our long-term plan to get there? And take some burden off of Julie and Hector, because I know they've been doing a lot of that work the last 3 months.
I am going to, go through, yeah, I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking, we're working on this. And this number, this little spreadsheet I'm using, it's been one that I did like when we very first started talking, so I'm gonna go through and make sure that all these numbers that are in here are accurately reflected, and I'm going to get you guys an updated number tomorrow, once I have verified everything is what, you know, I've been working on everything off of these two spreadsheets and creating things and not updating this, because that was our example, right? So I'm gonna make sure everything is reflected correctly. And go from there.
Is there anything in Jake's budget that we need to look at?
He's reduced his quite a bit already. I do know, I mean, that was right off the bat. We do have a transfer of $47,357 from general fund. We could actually, I could do that out of local option sales tax. That would put 47,000 back into the general fund. But that's just to cover for all, I mean, that's all of the departments, which isn't just, you know, road use, it's like the
Parks and Rec,
lights and
water,
and snow removal and like, there's like 6 different departments that come out of his per capita dollars that come, so it's a pretty tight dollar amount to be able to run and
Yeah.
keep up on things, so $47,000 in my opinion isn't terrible for going over that threshold that they give us for tax dollars, but
I just want to be fair to Danny and Mary and Jared and make sure we've given it the same scrutiny that
And we
we've
can
given them.
definitely have him in at another one. Are we going to plan another one of these meetings?
Shorter.
We do need to go through the final numbers too. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got there's other departments that are just menial ones that we don't need to go into, that just need to be added in, and, because we're right now just focusing on the general fund.
Yeah,
So
we have to approve budget by end of April.
April 30th, so at
Yeah.
the April meeting, we'll set the date of public hearing. It'll be a special meeting in that last week of April. So I have publication time to
Okay.
get done.
I'd like to see Jake's budget before then,
Okay.
and then anything else that we have to poke at.
Yeah, I mean, I welcome anyone to come in and ask questions and ask for more things to be at the meetings. I welcome
Jake
it.
pulled a lot out early on.
Yeah, I recall
I
that.
think we looked through it at
Yeah.
one point.
Yeah.
Public Works did.
Yeah,
But yeah, it'd be good to get another set of eyes on it and see where we're at.
Yep.
I guess I would say thank you.
Thank
This
you.
is not a great meeting.
Yeah, this sucks.
It's not a great meeting, but you know, Danny, thank you for stepping up and doing what you did. Mary, I appreciate it. Jared, you know, it's hard, and Matt said it, we all say it, you know, last thing we wanna do is lose somebody out of the city, and, you know, here we are, but you guys, thank you. Thank you for everything you do every day. Thank you. Hopefully we've got it to where we're at and don't have to come back and ask for any more, cause I don't know if there's any more left, you know? So,
doesn't feel like it.
Let's look at our calendars, guys. This is something we need to understand. So my next regular council meeting is on the 13th. I have to have our numbers done and entered in to set the date of public hearing, because that's a whole document that needs to be published. So, we're on the 24th. That leaves me 2 full weeks, and actually on the 8th and the 9th is when I'll be gone. So if we want to do another one sooner than later. And that way, if we need to have another one, or we can just be done. Yeah, I would recommend doing one sooner than later in case somebody feels we need to have at least one more.
one more wouldn't hurt. So Matt's here to hear that final, I think. You agree?
Schedule wise. I start heavy, I ref soccer, so, I start pretty heavy, and I know Hector's got games for both his kids.
Yeah, April
So
2nd, we
it's
started.
pretty tough, so like, if next week was possible,
I'm good until the 2nd, then I'm out of town until the 9th.
can we do next Monday or Tuesday?
That works for me fine. What's the?
The 31st, 30th or 31st,
Should be okay.
I could do that, 5:30.
Which one? The 30th or 31st?
Monday or Tuesday?
I'm good either.
I'm good at anything.
Let's get it done Monday, just be done with
Okay,
it.
so 3:30.
Monday, 30th at 5:30.
I'll text Jake and let him know on his first day back from vacation.
Yeah, he better be there.
And these three do or don't need to be there. We put them through a lot tonight.
Good.
Okay.
You guys are good.
Unless you wanna come cheer him on. Alright.
Alright, 30th at 5:30. Got it.
Thank you.
Should work.
Alright.
Great,
We,
so we get a motion to adjourn?
Yes. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'm motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, guys. Good night.
Thanks, everybody.